Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll show you how to validate URL or site using Angular, regular expression and Bootstrap with reactive forms. So guys, before going through this video, please visit my Angular CLI tutorial where we find out the how to create a basic Angular application, what are the setups, and these videos are helpful for beginner, intermediate and experienced candidates. So these are all basic videos for these candidates who are new to Angular and Angular CLI applications. So these are all basic videos which will helpful to proceed forward to the advanced level. And there is one more playlist is Angular application where I have make some videos regarding the real-time scenarios, that is how to create a Angular application for mobile validation, how to filter records using Angular, using web API, how to implement APIs, and what are the Angular custom pipes, how to build the real-time Angular application like temperature converter application, calculator application, how to fetch records from JSON file. These are all you can get this Angular real-time applications from my playlist is Angular application. So go through my presentation. So guys, here in this video I'll describe these points: steps to perform URL validation using the regular expression in Angular, steps to add validation for URL using regex pattern in the Angular application, know about Angular reactive forms, and there is one issue how to fix this, that is no property access from index signature. So guys, in this video we'll learn steps to implement URL number validation and Angular app in the Angular app using the Angular URL validation pattern and a regular expression. Here we validate URLs in Angular with the reactive forms. So reactive forms offer a model driven path for managing form inputs whose values change over time. It explains the steps to create and update an essential form control for URL site validation in the Angular. Here we create a simple dynamic form where you can use a URL validation pattern under the Angular applications component, and steps to add validation for URL using the regex pattern in the Angular application. I will explain the steps to create a form with text input using the reactive forms in Angular. So this input field will only accept the URL. So guys, there are various steps I have mentioned here. Okay, so step 1 is import reactive forms module inside the path src app and app.module.ts file. Okay, so I'll go to my Visual Studio Code. So this application I have used across all my this Angular tutorial. Okay, so you can refer this how to create an Angular application or Angular using the command prompt or your Visual Studio Code. So guys, I'll open this file app.module.ts file as per step 1. Okay, here we import the reactive forms module. Okay, and here I update the code as well. So import the ng module and browser module, app component and forms module and a reactive forms module. So this steps is important for this video. And once we create this import, we need to use this import section array. So guys, here you have noticed using an ng module, right? Here in decorator inside imports array, I have called this import statements values. Okay, that is browser module, forms module and reactive forms module, and these are the remaining steps as it is. Okay, and here step 2 is we need to update the TypeScript template using this path src app.component.ts file. So I'll go to my app.component.ts file. So here I import form builder, form group and validator from Angular/forms package. Okay, and we need to define the form using form group using the URL pattern using the regex. Okay, and bind it to the submit method here. So you can notice here guys, I define the form group which one I have imported. Okay, So you have noticed that in the export class app component, this form component is derived to the my form. So the my form, whatever the component property, we can derive or access using the my form uh, property as well. Okay, so inside the constructor, okay, and I have you pass this parameter as a form builder, and using res property it as a constant variable. So here I have use the URL pattern. So this URL pattern satisfy the URL that is which are the valid, and it will obeys this rule for URL validation. Okay, and what I've done is for the form builder, it a property derived from the from builder class for which I import. So using this group, okay, from the from builder I have access this URL property, and you have passed these values and validator required method and validator start pattern, and inside I have used this phrase method what I have defined here. I pass this const value as well, and then what I have done is using get m, right? So this is nothing but you can access as a method and return this dot forms my form dot control, which I have declared here, defined here, and I have used the return this my form dot control. And on in the on submit method I have used this whatever the my forms control that value. Okay, so this dot my form dot value I have passed here to log this on submit. So above all, so this constructor part is used as a logic for URL validation is configured. Okay, so this is all about the code for step 2, and I'll go to my step 3, that is update HTML file, that is src app and app.component.html. Okay, so guys, here I'll go to my app.component.html. so here I create a form using form group and ng submit directive, and define the URL input field using the form control name directive. So build the form using reactive form directive, and also define the required validation with URL regex pattern validation. So here is the code. That is, in the div class I have used some class property bootstrap classes, and this is the text. Okay, and inside as I told you, this is the form group. Okay, and here ng submit directive, which is I call this on submit, which one I already discussed in the app.component.ts file, and there is no validate. It is attribute. Okay, if you put over mouse you'll get the what is no validate things. Okay, and inside the div class form group I have used one enter URL before the text box. So the input type is text box, form control name, and the class the for CSS. So there is ng if. Okay, I have used if the m, that is the URL, is touched and invalid, then it will show on danger alert window, and it will show if the input field is empty, it will show please provide the URL, and if the input URL is not valid, it will show the input URL is not valid. So the form for this alert, okay, I have used one toast show, which is a bootstrap class, and this is the style I have configured. It will show one alert pop-up. So same here, one thing is this div is for it will show as a text. Okay, and this div is for it's showing the pop alert message or the invalid URL in a alert window or pop-up window using toast. And here the same I have used the ng if. Okay, and if the m, you can see here m.url.toast or m.url invalid, this all are you can get in my declared here. Okay, and I have defined here in my app.component.ts file. You can see here URL, right, URL property as I mentioned here. The same thing I have called this in my app.component.ts file, app.component.html file. So using this toast, if the URL touch and invalid, and the put over the mouse and click out of it the input field, if the URL is not valid or empty, it will show the alert message as well. Okay, and these are the toast body and toast body, both are in the alert message. It will show if the input field is empty, it show as provide the URL. If the input field is not valid, it will show entered URL is not valid. And I have just use a bootstrap button here, right? So bootstrap as a class button primary disabled, it is disabled my form.valid and type as submit. So this is all about the app.component.html file code. Okay, you can see here these are all the code for app.component.html file. So step 4 is add bootstrap to make page responsive. Okay, so okay, now one more thing I told you. So here validations are two types. One is if the URL input field is empty, and other is if the URL is valid. So in both way you can show this message, that is using the normal div as a text, or you can show as a alert box using bootstrap toast class. Okay, and you can see here form, if you do form group. Okay, so we call this onSubmit method using form group and ng-submit directive. Okay, as I told you, this onSubmit we have defined in app.component.ts file. So we just access call this method in ng-submit directive in the form group, right? So that's all about. So as for step 4, we need to add the bootstrap to make page responsive. So go to the index.html. So go to index.html here. So index.html I have done here for bootstrap CSS and bootstrap JS file to support the bootstrap property and accesses features. Okay, and make page responsive. These are the sample title, and here I have defined here to whatever the update related files, it will be consumed by the index.html and it will show the output. So this is step 4. Step 5 is we need to update tsconfig.json file. So go to tsconfig.json file. Okay, so here we need to set the no property access from index signature to false under compiler section in the tsconfig.json file. So here guys, this property name is no property access from index signature. We need to set as false, otherwise it will show an error, and this error I'll show you by end of this video. Okay, so by default this property is set to true. If the above property is not set to false, then we get an error while running the Angular application. Okay, so this error details is no property access from index signature. So I'll show you after this output. So these are all the steps. Okay, and we need to check our output. So go to my terminal, new terminal. So to check the output, there is command is ng-serve. So here guys, compiled successfully. I need to copy this URL 4200, go to my browser, and here I need to browse this. So here it is the output, and here is I'm getting the input text box. So I'll type for, I have not typed anything, I just make out of this cursor from this text box. So I'm getting this, please provide URL as a text as for the div, and there is one pop-up I'm getting, that is bootstrap toast, it's showing please provide URL. Okay, and if I'll try to give one invalid URL, okay, so here I'm getting as entered URL is not valid as a div text, and same way I'm getting from that is toast bootstrap toast alert message as entered URL is not valid, because I have implemented two types of error message to be shown using normal div text and bootstrap toast window. So if I'll try to give an a valid URL, so I'm not getting anything, any error, that means it's a valid URL. So if I remove this, I'm getting please provide the URL. Same way for invalid URL, that is I'm getting entered URL is not valid. Okay, so this scenario is important when you implement this URL validation in your, like your client has specific URLs and this client wants to enter its URL in your page, and there must be a URL validation, right, in your Angular application, or you implement in integrity with your other applications as well. So this validation process is very necessary to implement in your code. So what I'll do is I'll show you as a responsive. So right click on inspect element. So you can see here it is responsive, so for different devices. So for iPhone XR, this is the responsive design. If you iPhone SE, this is the response. iPhone 12, and if you select on different devices, so as for different devices, it will be manage its own width and height of the page. So this is nothing but the page responsive. Okay, so this is the page responsive. Okay, so it is because I have implemented the bootstrap in our index.html file. So let's check with, that is, steps to fix the no property access from index signature. So guys, as I told you in my tsconfig.json file, okay, so there is no property access from index signature. I have set to false, but by default it was true. If the above property is not set to false, then we get an error while running the Angular application, and this error should be that the property access from index signature is not valid. So let's check this error. Instead of false, I need to make as true. Okay, and save these changes. Okay, once I save these changes, I need to again try to run this command ng-serve and click enter. So here guys, as I told you, this is the expected behavior of this error, because here no property access from index signature. I made it to true instead of false, so it's showing as the error is in this file app.component.html, that is property URL comes from an index signature, so it must be accessed with the URL. And same thing for, I'm getting the different error, different line number, that is property URL comes from index signature, it must be accessed from the URL, that is this line. Okay, because I have derived this or accessed this URL from my app.component.ts file, so that is not be supported if this property is set to true. Okay, so you can check these errors as well, and you can get this, what are the required errors I'm getting in my app.component.html file. Okay, so these are the errors I'm getting. Okay, related to pattern URL, property URL not comes from an index signature, and property pattern comes from an index signature, it must be accessed with the pattern. Same way for pattern name as well. Okay, and you can see here this pattern and pattern. Okay, so these are the error because of this property is set to true. So make sure this property is set to false to avoid this error. Make these changes, save these changes, and I need to run as ng-serve. So see guys, my Angular application is compiled successfully without any error. I'll go to my browser, refresh it. I'm getting this output. Okay, and I'm getting this required or expected behavior for the error message showing if there is no valid URL. Okay, so guys, in this Angular URL validation example, I have demonstrated steps to use the HTML text input element and implement URL validation using the regular expression with the Angular reactive forms and bootstrap. So I'll go to my presentation. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.